This year's Furbearer regulations have been set. I'm Mike Anderson with the North Dakota Game and Fish Department. My guest this week is Furbearer Biologist Stephanie Tucker. Steph, any major changes this year to the Furbearer regulations?
No, Mike, everything is pretty much the same. There was some minor language clarification in our proclamation regarding the night hunting season for coyotes, but it wasn't really a change. It was just to make things a little bit more clear. So everything's pretty much the same.
Last year we had a couple changes.
Right. So our river otter trapping season, last year we increased the statewide harvest limit from 15 to 20, so a slight increase. And again, it's still trapping and snaring only season, one per person, one per trapper, statewide. And last year it took just over 36 days for that harvest limit to be met. And so we kept everything the same there as far as river otters go this year as well. Fishers, we expanded the area of the state where you could harvest a fisher. It used to be just the eastern third of the state, and last year we expanded to pretty much statewide except for 2 counties up in the Turtle Mountain area, Rolette and Bottineau County. And the reason we don't allow fisher trapping up in those 2 counties is because we have a small population of American marten up there, and we really don't want people to incidentally capture American marten while they're targeting fishers. And so we keep those 2 counties closed, but the rest of the state is open statewide for fishers now.
Anything new with mountain lions, Steph?
Nothing's new with mountain lions. The regulations are pretty much the same as last year. We're very pleased with the population trend being fairly level with minor fluctuations from year to year.
Okay, let's go back to the coyote and fox hunting.
Okay.
A little clarification at nighttime hunting?
Sure. We've had a night hunting season for coyote and fox in North Dakota since 1991. And it's pretty much been the same dates this entire time since 1991. It's always been late November or early December through mid-March is when the season is allowed. We allow that night hunting opportunity. And last legislative session, there was some language in there that allowed for the use of also artificial lights, as well as infrared illuminators in aid of night vision technology for night hunting. And so when our proclamation got updated with that new legislative changes, I think there was some confusion from people that the dates would change for our night hunting season, but those dates are still the same, so we're just clarifying that in there, that the language around the dates, we have a specific night hunting time frame, we always have, and now we're calling it specifically our night hunting season. One other small change to those regulations is that now you won't be allowed to use archery equipment or crossbows for night hunting of coyote and fox until after the deer gun season closes. And so for that first portion of that night hunting season, that first month or so, you cannot use that equipment. We don't want any conflicts between archery deer hunters and night hunting of fox and coyotes until early January. You can't use that equipment.
Okay, how are coyote populations?
Coyote populations, I think hunters and trappers can expect, fairly similar numbers to last year. We peaked a few years ago, and then the population, regionally and statewide has been coming down since then. Our surveys, don't detect real small-scale changes that might be going on in your area. You might see more or less, but statewide, they're going to be fairly similar. A few areas may have ticked up a little bit in the prairie pothole region and things like that, but I think trappers and hunters can expect about what they had last year.
Okay, let's move on to muskrats. How about muskrats?
Yeah, also a really popular furbearer in North Dakota. Great opportunity to learn about trapping. If somebody wanted to start learning about trapping, muskrat's the perfect critter to start with. They're easy to catch. There's not usually any risk of any non-target catch when you get into muskrat trapping, and our population started to tick up again this spring. And so we fluctuate in North Dakota. Our muskrat population trends, we have a peak about every 10 or 11 years, and we've been down kind of the bottom of that bottomed out for the last several years, but with all the water in eastern North Dakota last year, I'm sure that helped with reproduction of muskrats last year, and so I wasn't surprised to see our surveys show a little bit of uptick in muskrats this spring. And I would think that if those conditions held, especially in southeast and eastern North Dakota, those water conditions, that muskrat had pretty good reproductive success this year, and that trappers can expect to see more of them out there.
Okay, if you see a rare furbearer, you should report that too.
Absolutely. We have a great opportunity for people to report their rare furbearer sightings online now. We have links. We initially launched this online reporting for black bears because black bears wander in North Dakota from time to time. We have anywhere between a dozen and 15 black bears we know of that are in North Dakota every summer, spring, summer, fall. And we want people to report those. Black bears are really conspicuous, so when you see a big black critter lumbering across the prairie out there, you usually don't mistake it for something else. And so we launched it for the black bears, but we're also going to take advantage. we encourage people to report things like river otters or fishers, mountain lions, bobcats, American martins, stuff that we don't get really good survey data for because they're so few and far between in North Dakota, and they're really, you know, kind of secretive animals. And so if you see something like that, a rare fur bearer, you know, take out your phone, quick snap a picture of it. You can attach that to your report when you fill out the simple form online, and it just pretty much is asking you, you know, what you saw, where you saw it, when you saw it, and then if you have any supporting documentation like a picture, you know, attach that to the report. We sure appreciate the help.
Okay, one thing that we should remind our viewers too is if you're going to set traps or cable devices on wildlife management areas, plots, land, or private land, what do you need to have on those?
Right. So for any traps or cable devices left on a WMA or a WPA, you are required to identify that trap or snare with your name, address, and telephone number, or your equipment ID number. And you can get a free one, you know, it stays with you. You can use that equipment ID number for your tree stands and your trail cameras also that you leave in WMAs. So you can find that on your account on our website if you don't want to use your name, address, and telephone number. And the other thing is that snares or cable devices need to be tagged regardless of where you put them. So all traps need to be tagged on public lands, our WMAs and WPAs specifically, but when you put a cable device out there, that needs to be tagged no matter where you're putting it, whether it's private land or not.
A lot of great information, Steph. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Mike.
For a list of all the Furbearer regulations, visit the Game and Fish Department's website at gf.nd.gov. For Furbearer Biologist Stephanie Tucker and the rest of the staff here at the Game and Fish Department, thanks for joining us for this year's Furbearers Update. We'll see you again next week.